Welcome back. A couple of months ago, I was out and about. I was supposed to meet somebody at say 5 p.m. and I went out before that because there was an earlier appointment. I needed to finish that before I go for this date. But it was cancelled. I miscalculated the time. Everything got messed up. At the end of the day, I needed to wait for 2 more hours before the time for this date. So I decided to go spend my time at a bookstore. I went into the bookstore in Seoul in South Korea, only Korean books. I was looking around and trying to find any book to help myself and just pass time. And I strolled and strolled and strolled around the store. I found this book, The Other Black Girl. I found this book. And once I saw it, I thought I had watched a movie that looked like this. And I recognized the book. I remembered the book. And it was just so pretty. I decided to buy this book, right? I bought this book. And then I met the person that I was supposed to meet. I was so excited about buying this book. And I, brought it out. I said, oh, wow, while I was waiting for you, I decided to use my time well. I went into this bookstore. I got a book. And this is the book I got. And immediately he saw the name of the book. He was like, trust me, I know exactly what that was. It was, okay, black people, yeah, victims. I just knew exactly. And I still asked, I was like, what do you mean? What's that supposed to mean? And he said, I don't know, you all should just get over this. You're so obsessed. I know that many people also find this whole black thing quite tiring. A lot of people are like, move on. Why are you so interested in talking about black people? Why are you so interested in this conversation around racism? Oh my God, just stop. Move on. The reason why you're back right now is because you cannot move on. The reason why you're stuck is because you all don't want to move on. You want to be so focused on race. That's what they always say, right? And there's a lot of resources that have showed us that it's not about us. It's because people make us a problem. That's why we have to react. We have to come back at them with all of this whole idea of solidarizing, even if it's online. It's not our fault. We might be obsessed to a certain extent, but I think that we have a lot of good reasons to be obsessed with ourselves, as opposed to other people that I don't get the obsession, right? So recently there was a video.
British girls like the American accent?
Never mind, you don't have to watch it. But the response to that video came out, and a lot of people have responded to that video. But one of the most notable response just came out now, and it's from an Indian looking man. I didn't really try my best to find out what his ethnicity or his background is or his race is. I just saw this video.
Okay, I haven't been on TikTok for a bit, and I noticed everyone's tagging me in the whole Andrew Schulz thing about black women. I'll make a different comment about Andrew Schulz and that little rat Akash thing, but I want to say something about black women. And this was my mother, and I God is my witness right now. May the Lord strike me down if I'm lying. My mother told me and my siblings when we were young kids, before we, I remember it was when my older brother started secondary school. It was a big deal, my older brother going off to the big boy school. And my mum sat us down and she said, if you're ever in trouble out there in the real world, look for a black woman. My mum said this. My mum was raised in this country from the age of 6, the UK. She said, look for a black woman. She said, anywhere in the world, a black woman will help you. She was never wrong. But it's incredible that my mother said that. And I don't know what my mum went through. But I remember seeing photos of my mum in school when she was in high school and stuff. And she had loads of black friends and stuff, and they were all black women. Because my mum wasn't a pick me, she only had female friends. And she obviously felt some protection. And growing up for me, I noticed in my school, it was a very predominantly white school. The black teachers looked out for me. I had a black Jamaican teacher called Mrs. Forrester. She looked out for me. But even outside of school, when I started growing out my hair, it was a black woman that taught me how to look after my curls, what products to use. It's black women that built me up on this platform and got me to where I am. I have to give credit to where credit is due. It was women in general, but black women specifically who boosted me and told me how pretty I was and how great I was. But I am trying to make a point here, and it's that black women get treated the worst. The worst. Malcolm X said this. He goes, unfortunately, they are treated the worst. By the medical field, by the education field, by the police, by everything. Yet they're the ones that give the most love. And for I saw what you said in that post, Andrew Schulz, and some comments, and it's sad, and it hurts my heart when I think of those things, because I'll tell you right now, it wasn't that long ago. My friend Jordan, who I love and boast about, Jordan's got these. Jordan's family is just. When I was homeless, and Jordan introduced me to his family, they treated me like I was one of them. They didn't even care. They were just like, they treated me like family. It didn't feel awkward. You know when you go to someone's house and you just sat in the corner for a bit? It didn't feel like that. And I know not all black people are the same. Obviously, I know that. But there's one thing that black people universally have, and that is that beautiful smile and beautiful love that they just give out. But I'm telling you, it's a special feeling. I remember going to Jordan's once, and I was just heartbroken. His family just welcomed me, and they were like, Where's the? You know what? You know what his family said to me? They go. Oh, we got a plate ready for you. And then Jordan's cousin just looks me up and goes, "You're still skinny boy." And I'm just like, right, well, yeah, I know I'm home. Just no, I can't sit and not make a comment on this because no, and I know I made a post like months ago about black men, but yeah, just and go look through history. Go look at what Nina Simone did. Go look at what Doreen Lawrence, Stephen Lawrence's mother did. Go look at what Betty Shabazz did. Like these people are just incredible.
He was talking about how black women protect, and when I saw it immediately, I didn't understand the emotions behind it. That was the first thing that was my concern. I was just like, why you have to be gloomy? Why you have to be sad? Why do you have to be so emotional when you talk about liking black women or black women being this positive representation? You can just talk about black women without doing all what you're doing. It's fine. Yeah, that's how he decided to represent whatever he think is what black womanhood is. And for me, the question that I decided to cultivate in all of this is, what does it mean to be a black woman? Because most of the time they tell you that it's about resistance. It's about black women understanding where they are on the hierarchy of desirability and coming to tell you that we need to carve a niche for ourselves, both online or offline, to make sure that we protect our own interest, right? And I talked about this recently in a video where I say because of this niche that women have carved out for themselves, a couple of women come and exploit it because of the system that we are in right now, the system of oppression, right? If you carve out a niche or you have a demography of people you can target, you can easily sell things to them. Outside of selling things to black women, this whole idea of blackness is one that everyone will want to interrogate as a black person or just as a person. The concept of blackness, I've come to understand, is an opposing social construct, right? Where there's an in-group, which is supposed to be the white group, and a lot of people have tried to use biology and science to explain why why whiteness is quite different from blackness.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make this a race thing, but I do.
But then there's an in-group, right? And then there's an out-group. Everybody on the outside is supposed to be black. As an African person, sometimes I find it challenging to identify myself as a black woman. Sometimes when they're talking about black women, I don't think that they're talking about me, right, as an African woman. But if I understand the whole dichotomy of blackness being the out group, right, then I'll say, okay, the out group, I'm an African and I'm on the outside of whatever the privilege, the power is that is inside of here, then of course I'm a black woman. But then if that's the case, then a Latina woman can say she's also a black woman, right? However, we saw, or black people figured, that if you're like all of these people are on the out group, and then when it's time for you to expand and you feel like we're going to go extinct if we don't do something, that's the in group. Whenever this in group of people decide that if we do not solve a problem right now, we might go extinct, they bring a couple of people inside. And that's why the Italians will tell you we are not white, but the Italians were brought in as white. So people then figured out that your skin, the closer your skin is to paleness, the better your chances of being in the in group. The smoother your hair is, or the silkier your hair is, the more your chance of being in the in group, right? And so when people figured this out, they saw that, okay, and then the chances of you as an African person becoming part of the in group is really, really slim or non-existent. This is just an analysis of our society, because you can take it back to history and just say, you know, black people are completely kept out of anything whiteness, and a lot of black people try to assimilate, try to straighten their hair, try to make sure that they look as white as possible. That's why we have a bleaching problem in Africa, that you feel like you can do this and do this and do that, and maybe you can be accepted in the in group. And that's why a lot of people have a problem with assimilationists, and a lot of people are pro segregation. Let's just part ways. So whatever that is, this whole study is very interesting and it's complex, and I'm saying it like this because I'm trying to present it in such a way that all of us would like understand that we can be part of the conversation. It's not too academic sometimes, right? So black people figured out that for them to survive, they have to come together and fix their own whatever it is issue. And sometimes many people take that too far, where they become super individualistic and they think that self-love in itself is when you as an individual do things just for yourself. When what's the first name? Lord. Right. Audre Lorde, in the book A Burst of Life, have explained to us what self-love is. Self-love is not just about loving yourself as an individual. It's about the community. The idea of self-love now is being played out in this whole system of capitalism, because many people have to sell things to you, so they have to remove you from a lot of support that you're supposed to have, right? So that you would need more things. So if you need to do some kind of mental health balance or check, you have to go talk to a therapist. You have to pay $50 to $200, right? Something that you might just call a friend and speak to that friend is something you call your therapist and speak to them, right? So this system requires for you to be removed from your group. But the good thing that is supposed to happen with this Black women movement is that it's supposed to bring you all together as a community and make sure you're able to exercise your power. We've seen a couple of Black women in history that have done a lot of wonderful things, but right now there's an internet sensation about Black women that makes it feel like Black women, they're an army of people that can come for you if you do come for them. And I like that. Trust me, I like it. However, it's just a bit of some things that are supposed to be good become used for bad. Some things that are supposed to, but it's still good. It's still good that we're together. Let's hold that, and let's have fun with that while it lasts. So now the issue with this whiteness against blackness or blackness against whiteness is not that blackness was just left alone or left to be, right? There's colonialism, there's the slavery, there is a lot of demonization that had to be done on the idea of blackness, which is a social construct, that had to be done to the idea of blackness to make it not to be as desirable, right? And some of those stereotypes are like the mammy stereotype, the Jezebel stereotype, and then we have the sapphire stereotype.
Yes, Lord, got to get out.
The mammy.
You tell me who you want done, and I'll do the hell out of it.
The jezebel.
Shut it up! You are such a big baby.
And the sapphire. Submissive, sexy, sassy. 3 stereotypes of Black women that return to our screens over and over again.
The mammy is probably the most familiar to people. It's usually a maid, heavy, taking care of the family.
You is kind, you is smart, you is important.
She is asexual. She doesn't have really a life of her own. She's really only there to support the family.
And probably one of the most famous examples is Mammy from Gone with the Wind.
Just hold on and suck in.
Somebody who is always seeking out to put aside her own desires, her own needs for white families, white men, white women, white children.
Meet Sugar Hill, sexiest, deadliest chick in town.
The second stereotype is the Jezebel, and that's someone who's generally oversexed.
Is mysterious.
Her only power is in her body and in the influence she has over men.
Unattainable.
And then finally, the Sapphire character, I think that's seen in TV more often than anything else.
Get some Kleenex, wipe your nose, cause it ain't that damn sad.
The Sapphire is usually a sharp-tongued, manipulative woman who emasculates her husband.
There was actually a character called Sapphire Stevens on the Amazon Andy show.
And I guess you think you could cook, clean, and get along just fine all by yourself.
I does.
The representation of the angry Black women. And that's kind of metamorphosized to today, where we just have sassy, angry Black women who doesn't take anything from anybody.
Caricatures of Black women have been around in Western culture for centuries. They're rooted in the transatlantic slave trade, when stereotypes were used to commodify Black bodies and justify slavery. These characters were popularized in what Americans called minstrel shows, comedic performances in which white actors, in blackface, lampooned Black people just to entertain other whites. By the early 1900s, minstrel shows were fading in popularity, but the stereotypes endured. They made the jump to film, then electronic media, and they have survived to this day.
So you don't even need to have the terminologies for these things sometimes. Let's just often remember that as Black women or as Black people, we don't really owe society anything. When I say society, I'm not trying to talk about our community. I'm just trying to talk about the world at large. Literally, let's understand the times that we are in, what social media is like, what people want. Everybody kind of want to use us, and they are so obsessed. At this point, I take it as obsession.